I'm Sue Frederick, and I'm a volunteer here at Tyler Arboretum. I've been volunteering at Tyler for about 10 years. I'm also one of the Pennsylvania Master Naturalist trainees. We have a class coming up if you want to join us. And I earned a master's degree from the University of Connecticut. I'm here at one of my favorite spots, the Tyler Pond, or the pond at Tyler Arboretum. We're going to take a look at aquatic plants. Welcome to Tyler's Pond. This is a nice attraction for our visitors here at Tyler. And we have a variety of plants surrounding and in the pond. There are 4 basic types of plants, aquatic plants that are in the pond. The first one is emergent, the second is submerged, the third one is floating, and the fourth is algae. Let's take a look at some of the plants we have. The emergent plants like to have their roots or rhizomes in the water. They are represented by the iris on the far side of the pond. This happens to be the yellow iris, which unfortunately is considered an invasive plant. We also have submerged plants, which if you look closely in the water, you can actually see coontail. Usually they're rooted, but they may be free floating. Also, on the top of the plant surface of the pond, we have duckweed, lemna, and maybe some other species. Without pulling it up and taking a close look, I don't really know what the genera are. And I know we have my favorite algae, the 4th group. So let's take a closer look at some of our emergent plants, not only here in the pond, but at some of our infiltration basins or retention basins around the scenic loop. One of the classic emergent plants is cattails, cat o' nine tails, tussock's grass. It is unique because it has this cigar-shaped spike at the top. You will notice that in some cases, the 2 portions are separated, and in other portions, they will be on top of each other. The top is the male portion of the flower, and the lower part is the female portion. When there's a separation, it tends to be the species angustifolia. When they are on top of each other, it's the more common native latifolia. There is also a cross or a hybrid typha that can be found in and around Tyler Arboretum. This is another stand of cattails. It's in the middle retention basin along the scenic loop. In the spring, we typically see red-winged blackbirds making their nests. The strand of cattails provides small insects and a wonderful shelter for the red-winged blackbirds. They are very defensive. When you come and approach them, they come off of their nests, they fly around you, they make noises and tell you you're not wanted in their home. Around the outskirts of our cattails are arrowheads. And this is the genus Sagittarius. The unique venation is out of the center part, and it goes down each of the points. That's one of the ways to distinguish this plant. It is also an emergent plant, and I happen to like it. It's kind of pretty. Sagittarius is prized by our wildlife. There are a number of muskrats and waterfowl that love to eat the tubers or the roots of this plant. We just took a sample out of the pond, and this is how we can see our other aquatic plants. There happen to be 3 different types of aquatic plants in this sample, along with a host of other invertebrates. Let's take a look. This is a submerged plant, although it's hard to tell in this container, but it is called coontail. It was so named because people thought it resembled a raccoon's tail. It forms a habitat for a number of little critters. We have this flatworm over here that was living on the coontail, but we knocked him off. There's another one in here as well. There's some insect larvae. And then there's this little floating plant Looks like a little green speck. It's called duckweed. Duckweed has a frond and a single root. It belongs to the family Laminaceae, and it's quite common in ponds. It's been used as food sources, and waterfowl eat it, and they transport it between ponds, and it probably makes up half of what we see floating on the top of this pond, maybe even more. The other group is algae, which are these filamentous strands. It is a green conjugate algae. Most likely this is Magotia because it's the middle of summer. Earlier in the year we had a genus Spirogyra, which has like over 500 species, and we can't differentiate it without doing considerably more research at this point in time. There is so much life in this little sample of water you wouldn't believe. There's even some leftover seeds. We need to take it up to the microscope and look at it more closely. What do you think? To take a closer look, we need to look through the microscope. And in doing so, we will see coontail up first. This is our submerged aquatic plant. And we're going to look a little closer, increase the magnification. And now we have a close-up of coontail and duckweed. And oh, look at that. We can look a little more at duckweed. Duckweed is the genus Lemna, and it has a frond with a single root coming out of it. And now we can look at duckweed with algae. Algae are non-flowering plants, and we have green filamentous algae and diatoms in this picture. And we can look a little closer, and we see that the green filament is Spirogyra. Feeding on aquatic plants are insect larvae, other larval forms that are in the pond, and my favorite, this little tiny copepod larvae. Isn't he cute? Now it's time to leave our pond. We're going to go underwater through the coontail, and then we're going to surface, and on the surface you can see some duckweed. We want to thank you for joining us today as we talked about aquatic plants. We looked at 4 different kinds of aquatic plants: emergent, submerged, floating, and algae. Hope you enjoyed our presentation and will come visit us in Tyler.